Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the now bi-weekly TGC Radio, episode 23, and we'll be looking at 2 weeks, of course, bi-weekly, I just said that, and it's May 10th through May 23rd, 2024. And I've decided I am going to just do the episode format I did for the last one, where I did a big top 12 list. And again, quickly, if you're wondering why it's top 12, I started doing sort of ranking videos using the number 6, because that's my favorite number, my lucky number. I started doing that a long time ago. That's my thing. Yeah. Anyway, so top 12 list, and let's get into it at number 12. And that is, right away, it's one simple song to mention at the bottom here, and that is Adam Gonche's cover of Rooster, originally by Alice in Chains. It's a song that he has played other places as well, but the most familiar performance of it I know is from 3 Days Grace's Live at the Palace. And yeah, I don't know, I just started thinking about the song, so I listened to it a couple of times, and I wanted to mention it here. And it's a really solid cover. For me, it's a super nostalgic song. It's literally the first song I ever remember hearing. And yeah, it's a song that means the world to me. I still love it so much. Of course, the original, that is. And yeah, I love the cover. I wouldn't say it's better, because, like, I mean, how can you beat, like, peak era Alice in Chains, you know? That's hard. But it's a really good rendition of the song. He does it justice. And yeah, started thinking about the cover again, listened to it a couple of times, wanted to mention it. Outside of that, we have number 11, which is going to be specifically mentioning 2 songs from Taking Back Sunday's most recent release, 152, and those 2 songs are Keep Going and The One. Now, The One is, I've talked about this before, The One is my favorite song from 152, because I think it's just a really good song, and I love that it still has that kind of older spirit of Taking Back Sunday. It's got both John and Adam's vocals together, and yeah, I love that. It's easily my favorite from the record, and Keep Going, kind of like with Rooster, I just started thinking about that song again as well, and wanted to listen to it a couple of times, so I listened to it a few times, and yeah, it's super good. I still like 152 a lot. I mean, I don't know exactly what the general consensus is on Taking Back Sunday at this point. Like, I know they're not a hated band, obviously, but I vibe with a lot of their, like, recent material. Like, obviously, I do still think their best material is that stretch of the first 3 records, Tell All Your Friends, Louder Now, and Where You Want to Be. I think that is the best stretch of their career, but they've got a lot of really good material later on, and I like 152 a lot. But those 2 songs specifically I wanted to mention. As well as that, we have number 10, which is We Are the In Crowd, and right away, it's just kind of like a small handful of songs from both of their records, Best Intentions and Weird Kids. Sadly, I didn't listen to anything from their EP, Guaranteed to Disagree. Fantastic EP, but yeah, I didn't listen to anything from that, just a handful of songs from both of those. And I wanted to specifically mention one, of course, their brand new cover, Sick Transit Gloria, Glory Fades. I love this cover so much, and like, the original by Brand New from Deja Entendu has been growing on me quite a bit, from the first time I heard the original, but I don't know, I love this cover and I still prefer it. And it may be something I always prefer just because I heard it first. And normally, your first of anything is your favorite. But I like both now, and I love this cover a lot. Listen to it again in the 2 weeks. And I also wanted to mention as well, one of their earliest 2 songs that they released, I think during the MySpace days, and that is Easy. That, and I want to say the song's titled This Isn't Rocket Surgery. As far as I know, those 2 songs have never been officially released outside of, again, like, I think MySpace was where they put them on originally. You can't stream or anything like that, but I started thinking about Easy again, listened to it a couple of times, kind of like I said for the other entries here, and I just wanted to listen to it, so I did. And I love that song a lot. But then we move on to number 9, And that is Cassidy McKenzie, where I will mention, of course, Leave Me Alone and all of her 2024 releases, being I Don't Want to Lie, When I Was You, Turn It Down, and Somehow. I love all those songs so much, and I am genuinely excited for whatever she releases next. I don't know what that's going to be, but low-key, I really want it to be an album. But even if it's not, she just keeps releasing songs, I am absolutely here for it, 100%. Keep doing it, because you are so good at it. But yeah, so just keep all of those songs staying in constant rotation. But then we move on to number 8, which is Saint, of course, Tay from Within Crowd, her solo project. And that is really just about half of Smile and Wave I've been coming back to quite a bit. Including, of course, If You Ever Feel Alone. That's, at this point, that song's never going to leave constant rotation, and I don't want it to. I love that song so much. But yeah, so, like I said, I've been listening to about half of that record, and I am still very excited, but patiently waiting to hear more about whatever it is she's working on. I assume at this point, since we know that We're the In Crowd are reuniting again for when we were young this year, I assume that she'll probably tie in whatever she's working on next to that performance, that reuniting of the band. That's what I would imagine, because that'd probably be the smartest thing to do for, like, marketing. But I don't know. Either way, I'm still excited. But then we also mentioned number 7, which is Rush. And again, Rush has been in constant rotation since the start of the year, since I started re-listening to them a lot again and really digging through their discography. But the only things worth mentioning, basically, are just a small handful of tracks, like I always seem to do, like that are staying in constant rotation. And that's Closer to the Heart, The Spirit of Radio, Distant Early Warning, and Free Will. But I did also start listening to Tom Sawyer and Fly By Night again as well, but just less than the ones that have stayed in constant rotation, so I didn't feel like it was worth mentioning too much. But then, of course, we also move on to number 6, which is Pearl Jam, and they are mainly just because I started listening to their newest release, Dark Matter, and I've only listened to about half of it. I started that earlier in the month, and I just need to finish it, which I will do, just have not done that yet. I'll get around to finishing it, because what I've heard I really like, especially opening track, Scared of Fear. I think Scared of Fear is so good. It's a genuinely special track. It just hits me in just all the right ways, and I love the song so much. Banger, great way to open up the record. But that's really all there is to mention for Pearl Jam, so we move on to number 5, which is Echosmith, which I think they've been missing for a while. They might have been in the last one, the first bi-weekly episode, I don't remember. But in saying that, they are here, and I, quite honestly, just started listening to Talking Dreams again. I had really slowed down on listening to Talking Dreams, despite it being like one of my favorite records ever at this point. But I started thinking about it again, and I started working it back into rotation. So, hopefully it'll find its way to stay in rotation the rest of the year, because it's a special record for me. It's hard to explain. I might eventually finish that video essay I want to do for Talking Dreams. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't worked on the script in quite a while. And I want to do it. I find it hard to keep the motivation for a script, especially a video essay. Like, there are some things, like, to go on a bit of a tangent, like my WWE Universe prequel series I started on the main channel. I was making short videos that I was scripting out for those, and like I love making those, and like I find that really easy to keep working and finish the script for their short versions of the whole series. But like a proper video essay, as much as I love them, actually I can't even say I love them, because I don't really watch video essays from other creators all that often. It has to be like, one, basically a creator that I'm aware of already and I trust, and two, It has to be, like, depending on what they're talking about, what the essay's about. But making a video essay myself, I find it hard to keep the motivation and the passion for the script and to finish it. But the Talking Dream script I am so passionate about, I just have to force myself to really sit down and just, like, focus in on that script to finish it. But tangent over, I love Talking Dreams. I am so happy I started to work their first album back into rotation, and I'll try to, as well, keep or work back in the self-titled and Lonely Generation as well. But then we move on to number 4, which is Kings of Leon, which I have no idea why they're here. Like, I mean, I do know why, but it was so surprising to me because, you know, my only impressions of Kings of Leon were Only by the Night. You know, they're stepping out of their Southern rock roots to make a directly U2 inspired record, you know, trying to aim for more mainstream appeal and making, like, this big stadium filling rock record. And I never cared for it except for the 2 songs that everyone knows from that record, You Somebody and Sex on Fire. And I do like those 2 songs a lot. But yeah, outside of that, I was never impressed by that record or anything else the band's done that I've heard anyway. So when I heard Mustang, the lead single for Can We Please Have Fun, and I didn't hate it, I was like, okay, this is interesting, you know, and, like, I didn't think much of it. Like, I thought it was okay. I wasn't like, okay, I hate this. I was taken aback a little bit. It's like, okay, this is fine. Which is really funny because there's people I know, like people in my personal life, heard that song come on Sirius Radio, and they hated the song very much, and they still hate the song. I thought the song was okay, and then when the day that they released Can We Please Have Fun, the song Nothing to Do, the song Nowhere to Run came on my Spotify release radar playlist that they made for me, and I listened to that and I was like, oh, I actually really like this song. So then I sat down with the whole record and I was genuinely surprised. I was, again, taken aback by the whole record. It's like, wow, this is a good record. I was so surprised to actually give a shit about Kings of Leon. But I like the record quite a bit, and I'm very excited to talk about it more, which will happen, of course, with the May album roundup. I say, as I still haven't finished editing the April album roundup. I've been so fucking lazy on both the monthly TGC Radio and album roundup videos for April. I've been so fucking lazy. Like, I mean, I know it took the middle of April to get the March video out. I think it took the middle of March to get the February video out. Which is dumb, and there's no excuse for me doing that, because, like, they're really easy videos to make. Really easy to edit, but whatever. Yeah, Can We Please Have Fun? I actually genuinely liked it, and I can't wait to talk about it more. That's the key there. Not one song in particular I was coming back to, but the whole record I do think is solid, and I was very surprised, and I'm already going to do a proper 2024 re-listen of Only by the Night for the next TGC Unfiltered as well. So I will get to that, because I planned that to be the next episode. But then we move on to number 3, which is Spanish Love Songs. And by Spanish Love Songs, I mean it's precisely one song, actually. And it's not one of their songs. It is their cover of Alkaline Trio's We've Had Enough. As I genuinely have been listening to this song a lot. And I love this cover. And it, again, I've talked about it before. This cover genuinely makes me more excited to finally dig into Alkaline Trio's work. Because I'm not familiar with Alkaline Trio. I know Matt, and I know his work with Blink. But yeah, I've never got into Alkaline Trio, so I'm very excited to finally do that. Thanks to, like, again, liking the stuff Matt did with Blink, and Tom and Mark talking about how much his writing affected their writing, and also the Spanish Love Songs cover of We've Had Enough. So I will eventually get around to that. I just don't know when for sure. But as well as that, we move on to number 2, which is Against the Current, who I've talked about plenty, just like I've talked about with Spanish love songs. But Against the Current, again, not much to talk about with them. It's specifically just three of their most recent releases. It's the songs Silent Stranger, Good Guy, and Blindfolded specifically, as I've been coming back to Good Guy and Blindfolded a lot. But as well as that, I have been coming back to Silent Stranger as well. But yeah, of the 4 most recent songs post-Fever, I've talked about it before. My favorite is easily Blindfolded, followed by Good Guy, then Silent Stranger, and then Wildfire. I like Wildfire, but it doesn't do too much for me personally. Like, it is still a good song, and I'll listen to it if it comes on, but I probably won't really go out of my way to listen to that one. But no, I think all 4 are very good, and Good Guy and Blindfolded specifically just blow me away. I love both of those, especially Blindfolded. But not much else to talk about, so we move on to number 1, and number 1 is The Main. And with The Main, I was talking about this earlier today, and I hate myself for putting off listening to The Main for so long. Like, it wasn't like an Every Avenue situation where, like, I didn't really know anyone that listened to The Main, so I just didn't listen to them. I just didn't really know about them at all. So it wasn't something that, like, oh, hey, like, Spotify or Last.fm were recommending me them, and I didn't listen. No, I'd barely heard of The Main, to be honest, until I had listened to some stuff, or until I listened to Can't Stop, Won't Stop for the first time. And, like, they're so good, and, like, I love Can't Stop, Won't Stop and Lovely Little Lonely, which I want to talk about both of those specifically, and despite being very different records, you know, I love that no matter what, they both, like I said, they're different, but they both still feel like The Main. And songs like Black Butterflies and Deja Vu, Everything I Asked For, and Taxi have been in constant rotation for me, as I've talked about before, and they still are. And one thing I do like about The Main is, and I think I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again, but The Main, you know, yeah, they started out as a pop punk band, and, like, there is still some of that in there, in, like, their DNA, but from the very beginning, there's also been indie rock, and there's also been, like, some, like, say, country influence and stuff like that, you know? There's influences everywhere that you can hear in everything they do. And the fact that they are more than just one genre, I think is super cool, you know? And, like, a song like Taxi, especially John's voice and, like, his vocals on Taxi, I'm like, straight up, someone who only listens to country could and probably would absolutely love Taxi as a song. And, like, and I can still hear that on stuff like Black Butterflies as well, and, like, Into Your Arms from Can't Stop, Won't Stop, etc. You get, you know what I'm saying? You get the idea. And yeah, so I love The Main now. Really love them. And in saying that, I also listened to their second record, which was their major label debut, Black and White. And the best way I can describe Black and White is, as a pop punk fan, I love Black and White. As a fan of The Main, it's okay. Like, it's not a bad record by any means. Again, like, as a pop punk fan, I love it. But, again, it doesn't quite feel like The Main, if you know what I mean. Like, it feels like what a major label thinks. It feels like what the major label, what Warner Brothers thought The Main was, you know? They said, hey, so this is what we envision you to be, because this is what we know is popular right now. So make this record. And admittedly, that's what they did. Because, you know, they were super young and had no experience with major labels, so they did that. But it's like, for as good of a pop punk record as it is, it doesn't quite have the same charm as a Can't Stop, Won't Stop, you know, for their early material. Again, like I said, it's a very solid pop punk record. But, again, it just doesn't really feel like The Main. that does make me super excited to listen to the other material that I haven't gotten to yet. Like a Pioneer, a Forever Halloween, an American Candy, a self-titled, etc. You get the idea. Yeah, so it makes me very excited to hear the other material. And I will get to that. At this point, it's funny, like, at this point, I expected Rush to be the band I sit down and listen to basically everything in their discography this year, like I did with the Killers last year. And at this point, I'm thinking that's actually going to be the main. And you know what? I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at that at all, So yeah. But that is really all I've got. That was the top 12 entries into a TGC Radio bi-weekly episode number 2, and in total episode number 23 of TGC Radio. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment down below, share it up on social media, do all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.